minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
1, 2, Westport!
What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining us again on a Saturday edition of the Best Grow Show. We've got an awesome guest today, Shield Maiden Garden. Shayna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. And you have been a guest in the past on one of the grow shows that we have done. And I loved every second. I've been wanting to get you back. So thank you so much for hanging out today. And, I always go around because you can't just call yourself the Best Grow Show. So you have to talk to people and inanimate objects. I usually like their answers better. But I went out this week, and since the last show, I talked to a bunch of swordsmen. Because if you didn't know, fun fact, Shield Maidens are female warriors. And if I am to believe my Google search, they kicked it with the Vikings pretty tough. They went around and rocked it. So I went and talked to swordsmen this week. And 9 out of 10 swordsmen said this was the Best Grow Show. And Curly Leaf guessed it. That other swordsman was more of a Chad anyways. So... So, big ups, Adam. Thank you for tuning in today. Loyal watcher here. Good, thanks. So yeah, we're the Best Grow Show. Thank you. Yay, swordsman. So, Shield Maiden's Garden. Did I even come close to the reference there as being the female warrior? Where did the name came from? What inspired that for you?
All right. Actually, there is an inspiration behind it. So I had 2 little girls that were in the NICU for a while, and they definitely are some strong little girls, and we have some Nordic descent, and I thought it would be an honor to carry a shield for them. And so they were kind of my inspiration on why I picked Shield Maiden's Garden.
Well, that is an excellent story, and thank you for sharing. It's fun sometimes to know the stories, and I've kind of known you as just a warrior in yourself, in the garden, and in this cannabis space, making their way. You're in one of the states that was recently legal in the past few years, so that's always a great thing to experience and allows you to be a little bit more open with things. And you're approaching the garden now. I know it's like I'm totally getting ahead of myself, but I just think this is a cool fact. The sponsorship with HLG you were one of the first, actually the first female grower that was sponsored
Yeah.
by HLG. So how did that come about? Were you already just using the lights and then you reached out, or I think
Yeah.
that's just a fascinating story because that, again, that speaks to, I think, the shield maidens you are.
So I did a lot of research back then, and HLG was definitely top tier. And so I ended up saving up some money, and I purchased a light, and I loved it. And all I did was just message them and tell them, "I really love your light. Thank you so much." And then I kind of gave them a background of myself and what I was trying to do. Especially at the time, it was still prohibition land. So any kind of marketing or any kind of partnership, you had to play it careful. So
Yeah.
I reached out to them and I kind of told them what I was doing. They loved my story. They really wanted to support me in trying to help other women jump in here and grow. And so they offered the sponsorship, and I have been with HLG ever since.
That is awesome. And I know the show is sponsored by Spider Farmer. So I just had to say that because I'm big upping HLG. Again, a lot of awesome lights out there, people. Make your own decisions for yourself. But that is very cool for you and for what you were doing. Now, can you maybe tell us, because there's a lot of people who hopefully will experience the same transition from, not legal or maybe medical system into the fully adult system. Hopefully there's going to be more people experiencing that soon. But can you tell, people who are still wondering maybe what that was like and kind of what it meant for you as a grower?
Try to rephrase it.
Yep. Well, it was a weight off of my shoulders, but I was still cautious when I got the green light to kind of show my face or to grow. But did you maybe grow a few more plants, or is that when you decided, hey, I'm making a YouTube channel?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. And since there really was no one around me that I could ask, I really poured myself into the community. And I put myself out there and said, hey guys, can you help me? And the community was so great at opening up their arms and sharing their knowledge. And I love that about this community. It's no gatekeeping.
Yeah, yeah, and you've grown a bunch of Irie genetics, which I want to get to in a second too. But you said no gatekeeping, and Rasta Jeff is a person that instantly came to mind because he is so open, so helpful, so willing to talk to anybody, especially about his genetics, that he is a prime example of that because the dude's got to be pretty dang busy. I know that. He's cooler than I am, and I'm busy, so he's probably pretty dang busy. But he does that. He makes the time. And yeah, we do. We've got an awesome community here. And everybody in chat, that has showed up today, and people rolling in, people who will watch us on the rerun, y'all are awesome because I know if anybody in chat has a question today, they'll get good answers. They may get one smart ass, but that's because it's me typing in there. No, they're going to get some good answers. So the community is awesome. And you mentioned community. I always like to stoke community out on the show, get people growing. I like to give away beans. I also always like to do it for the early birds too, that we're not even 10 minutes into the show and they're already here and active. So real quick, we're going to give away a pack of the Twin Peaks. And this is a seed increase that I did the other year. I say this every episode, so tell me in chat if you guys are tired of hearing the story. But Twin Peaks is from Lucky Dog Seed Co., which is Skunk VA. He's one of the known holders of the chems. It's just a coincidence that I'm Twin Peaks, but that's actually how it came to me. Twin Peaks Chem 91 BX2 times Chem Cis. I did an open pollination on the pack because I want to dig for more Chem 91 traits. At the same time, I have a bunch of them, so I want to share that with people if they're looking for it. And I just saw that actually Lucky Dog Seed Co. last night just put up a post saying that they are retiring this one. because they're taking that, it's got the Chem 91 BX2 in it, and they've been working with the BX3. So they're retiring this particular Twin Peaks, and they're now going to Twin Peaks V2. So that's kind of what we're getting here. So I'm just going into my giveaway tool here, talking while I'm on the other page, and choosing my stream, opening it up, and I'm just going to type Twin Peaks. Okay, so everybody in chat, if you are in the US, you can be playing for the Twin Peaks. If you're in Canada, you'll be playing for something from Uncle Rick from the Let's Be Bud show, because he has volunteered to hook up the Canadians if they happen to win. So just go ahead and type Twin Peaks into chat, and cool. We'll let this roll for just a couple minutes. Let the early birds hopefully get something cool. Let's see here. Okay, back to comments. Thank you for interrupting. It always feels a little weird occupying most of the time when I have a guest in the first few minutes, but thank you for letting me get through that. What have you been growing lately? What's in your garden at the moment for genetics?
So I have been working on my very first cross. I have been working on, actually, it's Rasta Jeff's genetics that I chose to cross, partly because he is such a pillar in the community, and he's helped me out so much just answering questions. So I chose those as the genetics to start my first cross with. So we have Saka Souffle crossed with the machine. I've got those going. And then I also have Purple Caper's chocolate chip cookies.
Nice. Very nice. It's I guess a couple weeks ago, Luna Whitcomb was doing some stuff with Purple Caper. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so I've totally been like cluing in and paying more attention to Purple Caper ever since. And I like what I'm seeing. So that's cool to hear another grower out there with the genetics. And Caribou Heart TV is using the machine, and he crossed that with my Nakatomi Plaza. So that'll be interesting to see too. So I've never seen the machine. What was it about machine that you liked, or is it a short plant, tall plant? Tell me.
A big, vigorous, leafy veg monster. I loved it. The machine was well named. It's a machine.
Nice.
Saka Souffle, I really loved the terpene profile on it. It was very unique. And I just thought that would be, I had all of them growing at the same time, and I picked the male out of the machine that I really loved. And I collected the pollen, and I did a lot of research and tried to figure out how to do it. And I got my first little seeds. So these are my F1s that I have in my grow right now.
Oh, that is so exciting. Popping that first generation for me is always so exciting, because you're like, yeah, you got your mama's nose or you got your daddy's eyes, you can totally see these traits coming out. And then there's like that mash of like, you're a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm excited about these. I reached out to Rasta and kind of told him, hey, I've got this stem rub that's really plum. And Saka Souffle and the machine, neither one of them have any kind of plum profile. So I asked him about it. I said, where do you think this is coming from? And he said that he really thought that it had to do with like the great grandparents. It's an expression, kind of predates the skunk. He likes to think of it in terms of you get the plum and then you get the skunk. So it kind of is like the precursor, I guess, to the skunks. So I'm excited to see. I've never had any kind of plum terps before, and it's very unique. I'm excited.
Oh, that is exciting. That would be fun. Kazome Garden plum would be a crazy terp. That would be. We're finding so many things out here these days, because we've got all these people popping seeds and trying different genetics and making new genetics, and we're recombining the genes, and we've been coming out with some really rad stuff, or finding some rad stuff, which is again a cool part of the legalization thing. Is not all these people would be growing if it was still illegal, but
Yeah.
it's legal now. So let's give away some seeds.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. All right. So, geez, over 100 of you entered. U.S., you get the Twin Peaks. Canada, you will get something else. So, winners, good luck. I will have you just type into chat where you're from, and I'll know which seeds to send you. So, good luck, everybody. Let's see where it stops. It stops on Soar Dog. Right on, Soar Dog. And it's soar like soaring eagle. You're not sore like you worked out too hard. So congratulations, Soar Dog. You're soaring like the eagles. All right, so Twin Peaks. I will write this down and just let me know in chat if you are in the U.S. or Canada. Congratulations. And guys, girls, we will be doing more throughout the show. Hand gliding, he says. All right, he's from hand gliding. I don't know their zip code, Soar Dog. Help me out. Either way, though, you can hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is down in the show notes, and Shayna's Instagram is down in the show notes as well. And that's a fun page. We'll check that out here in a little bit. But okay, so you collected pollen, which for me has always been unsuccessful. I've collected it, but I just it's just too humid for me. So I usually have the male, and I've got to just like shake it, and then it pollinates everything, and that seems to work best for me. But what maybe inspired you not to go that route and to try the pollen collection there?
I was actually growing and testing things outdoors. And that's when I discovered I had some males, and I thought, we're outside. Maybe I should just let them live. And so I ended up picking the one that I like the most. And I definitely spent some time learning how to do it correctly. Also understanding like the viability. I think that was really important for me to learn too. But that really was the main reason. I had plants indoors and I had some outside, and I thought the only way to safely do this without crossing everything is to just collect the pollen and do it intentionally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer, because I have to time everything and plan everything accordingly in here to where I have like receivers ready, but everything else in veg. Everything else I want to keep not seeded, still in veg. So it does take a little bit of time. Have you kind of grown maybe some of the same plants indoors and then grown the same thing, or maybe like the clone outdoors? Do you see much differences in the way that they grow, or maybe like their final size?
I mostly notice in the terpenes. The terpenes seem to be different to me. They
Okay.
express very differently. And I think some of it is because I don't start my plants outdoors, I take them outdoors later.
Hmm.
A lot of it had to do with my space. I was just running out of space. So I was trying to shift them around. But yeah, I think for the most part, there is a difference. The sun is just different than these LED lights, and the way the plant grows and responds to it really is different. I think that it's a preference.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. There's pros and there's cons for both. Um, Sometimes you can, A and B it if you sit down and be like, I think this was the outdoor or this was the indoor. But a lot of times you really can't. Um, the terpenes, though, I've heard that mentioned numerous times from the outdoor growers. And yeah, something special about the sun, something special about the UV.
Mhm.
Just, that outdoor magic, it just has something a little different. And I've not been able to grow outdoors just because of my climate. So I've definitely had a lot of outdoor NorCal cannabis in my life, but never like Washington grown or grown myself to have that comparison like you had. I've always just kind of have to do things inside. And do you still have the spaceship? Last time we talked, you had the raddest. I think it was like an 8x8 grow tent, You had all your plants, all your equipment set up in one side, and then the other side just had like the raddest lounge chair, and you could sit in there and wave to the plants. And how's the indoor going right now?
So that is my mothership. I call it the mothership. Um, that is, I believe it's a 5x10, but I have shut that down for the winter because that was in my garage. So I shut that down for the winter. I didn't have very good climate control. So I'm stuck in my 5x5 and it feels like a little closet. Um, but here soon, now that the weather and the seasons are changing, I'll be able to get that up and running again. And it'll be nice to have my little clubhouse.
Totally is the coolest clubhouse ever. And one thing I liked about that setup too is that you were able to put like the dehumidifiers or the humidifiers, the air conditioning, you were able to put everything within the tent because it is, 5x10 is a much larger atmosphere to affect than a 4x4. Yeah, I try to, I affect my lung room here. But if I had that much space, I would definitely do it in the tent. So do you focus much or do you have many controls for the lung room itself? Or do you really try to keep all your parameters set within the tent to the
I
right
have to try
space?
to keep them set inside the tent in that particular space because my lung room has no control. So
Okay.
in my indoor, I do pay attention to my lung room because we have multiple tents growing at the same time. So having the not the exhaust, but having the intake, making sure that there's enough humidity really is
Okay.
important for indoor right now.
She's a problem I've never had being in Washington. It's always like industrial dehumidifiers here, but the humidifier, okay. And ironically enough, I am middle of writing an airflow article. I've just finished the intake and the circulation within. I need to finish the exhaust part, send that off by Monday. But for intake, one thing that I specifically noted is if you're drawing air in from outside, have a filter. Um, so are you taking air from outside of the building or is it from that lung room itself?
It's just from the lung room itself.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. You don't have to worry about getting pests and pathogens in on that airflow,
Yeah.
which is nice. Yeah, I've never. A lot of people, indoor growers sometimes they'll have like the window fans. It's not necessarily like a ported intake, like an active intake. It's just directly into the tent. It's just set up in the window, so it's a little more inconspicuous, I guess, just blowing it into the room. But again, being in Washington, we can't do those things. It's just too cold. So, okay, curious there. I'm shifting my brain back from writing. Oh gosh, I looked up at the clock too. I'm like, oh crap, I need to. I got a red guest today. Shannon's coming. So yeah, I got set up. I was in time, mostly on time. Had a few things to do, but I'm here. You're here. We've got beans. We're giving them away.
Yeah.
So all right. When it comes to growing though, we've talked indoors and outdoors. What was kind of like your first experience with growing? We can rewind the clock a little bit. I get so excited to talk to you. I'm like already way up here. We can rewind. What was your experience kind of like? You already said that you didn't have the mentor there, you didn't really have the input, but how did you go about getting like your first batch of soil and maybe what are some of the things that you could advise somebody in those footsteps today of?
So at the time, I was definitely a huge member of the Dude Grows community. And DGC.com was kind of my run to for everything. Just put that up in the little search bar, whatever question you had. And there were so many different opinions and so many different thoughts on it that it really gave you a chance to pick and pull what you wanted. Um, so for me, starting off, I wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible. The thought of cocoa was really, really intimidating. So I started off with trying to be as organic as I could. Um, Keeping it very simple.
Yeah, it's a good way to be. Because I didn't even add much nutrients when I started. I'm like, the soil had enough charge to go for a while, and I'm like, I just want to see what the plant does. I want to learn what it looks like when it's deficient. Then I just kind of learned through the lack of feeding or doing it that way. Um, Organic though, that's somewhere that I moved to. Were you doing like top dressing, or was it like a liquid organic nutrient or a super soil?
So I started off with my good soil until it got to the point where the nutrients were running out, and I didn't really know what to do from there. I just knew my plants weren't looking the way they were supposed to.
Hmm.
So that's when I had to jump on there and try to find whatever recommendation I could. And at the time, the most popular one and accessible to me was Gen Hydro. So I started doing more of a hybrid. I would have living soil or I would have an organic base, and then I would add my salts periodically. It's kind of like a shotgun approach to fixing everything. And
It
I learned.
works.
I learned.
Yeah. Well, that's a good approach too. A lot of people are going the Synganic route, start with a good soil and try to feed it and try to get it through. But as you said, like, I still got some time to go. I see deficiency. And we know that when we see it, it already started a few weeks ago. So at that point, adding the bottles, which are immediately plant available, it's a good call. And Tad Hussey from KIS Organics, who's a total organics guy, even last week on the show, he says, I see great results from people doing this organic approach. So yeah, something to it. But again, it just goes to prove there's more than one right way to do these things, right? You can even
Yeah.
combine the two opposing forces and still get a good something out of it. So a lot of right ways to do it, but you definitely know it when it goes wrong. And you kind of saw that with some of the leaf color there. You went to the DGC. Now, diagnosing nutrient deficiencies is hard online or just from a picture, because there could be like temperature issues, watering issues. Did you get any advice that maybe had you chase your tail for a little bit, or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
how did that go? Or did you get like 10 different opinions for the exact same thing? Like, how did you make
Exactly
sense
it.
of the advice? Yeah, how did you make sense of what you were getting for advice there?
Something that I learned was try to go with one person at a time.
Yeah.
Don't just take all opinions from everyone and try to apply it all. It doesn't work. So I really tried to think about what my problem was and who I thought would help me solve it the best, and kind of stick with their approach and just try it and see what happens. And I've learned a lot growing with other people.
Good, good. That's a great piece of advice too, is to not overcomplicate it, or as far as like going so many different routes from so many pieces of advice. Stay with it, learn from it, and even if it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, you kind of have a little bit more of the why, or you're like, okay, that's what not to do. A lot of my like learning things have been because, okay, that's not what you do. So that works out. I just saw a comment here too. Let's see. Let me change my. Where do I change my fat? There we go. Okay, change it to this one because it's always easier to read the comments. But Tobacco University is a great resource, and that popped out again because yeah, he's a great fact finder. And funny enough, he's going to be the guy fact checking my airflow articles. He's been brought on as the ultimate fact checker for all the articles. So now all my articles go through him. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, Tobacco University is a great resource. That's another YouTube channel for people to check out. I always like to say just the facts, ma'am, because he is very just the facts. So I dig it. Good
Cool.
tip there, Adam. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Just thought of something else. Another little helpful piece of advice when you're looking for advice. Uh, Change one thing at a time. just one thing at a time and then wait. I think I was trying to change everything and was like, okay, now what? They're not better. And it was too difficult for me to walk it back and find out what exactly I was doing wrong. So it's much easier to just do one change at a time, and really pay attention and listen to your plants. They'll tell you if they like it or not.
Yeah. Now, what was maybe one of the signs that you were seeing for one of these instances where you were making an adjustment, or too many adjustments? What kind of results did that lead to in a specific example?
Let's see. So increasing my light intensity, changing my fans around, my airflow. Both of those I learned do one at a time because you don't know which one caused the burn issue. It could be too much air on the leaves that's causing a little bit of the burning looking, or it could be the light intensity, could have been a little too intense. But doing both of those at the same time, I couldn't really single out which one was the problem.
Really good example. Really good example. Because they'll both, they'll both look the same as far as like a light burn or wind burn, because the wind burn, it keeps the stomata open, which causes nutrient issues, which then is manifested on the leaves, and you're like, what's burning? So yeah, perfect example. Now, which did you determine it was in your situation? Lights or wind?
It ended up being a little bit of both, but I think it was the wind burn more than anything.
Okay. Okay. And that's, did you have a oscillating fan in the tent, or is it just a stationary fixed direction fan for blowing on the
I
plants?
try really hard to have maximum airflow constantly circulating. So I have multiple fans, which
I do too.
wind burn comes in pretty quick when you have a whole lot of big fans. Um, you start noticing they get real dark and they get real dry and brittle feeling.
Yeah, for like the fixed fans, I always try to I always say get a fan with multiple speed options, because like I've been there, many other people have been there. You buy a fan, you think it's good, and all of a sudden it's like gale force winds on your plant and you can't adjust it. You're like, that's wasted $20. Done that a bunch of times. But with the ones, so with getting adjustable speed, but if it doesn't oscillate too, I always try to recommend, intense at least, to like bounce it off the side walls and try to create like the swirl instead of just having it blowing constantly. Because if you aim it at that opposite corner, yeah, you see these corners still kind of like fluttering, but the main corner it's hitting is just like, oh my god, you're killing me. So yeah, oscillating is my preference. But if you don't have the oscillating, I always try to aim them off the walls for people. So I don't know if that's something that you were doing or not, but you had multiple fans in there, and you did have a lot of space or a lot of air to move in that large of a tent. That makes me wonder though, how did you work that for like the exhaust when you would zip it up at night? Negative air pressure usually means you're exhausting more air than's coming in, so the tent walls suck in. Were you getting enough of that suction? Was the fan strong enough at night to when you close, the walls would actually kind of suck in a little bit?
So much so that it broke my tent.
Oh,
Uh,
damn.
I needed, yeah, I really needed like the CFM bars on it. It completely pulled everything inward. So I can't have my exhaust running at 10. I have a 8-inch exhaust in that. So I
Okay.
can't have that running at 10. It has to be maxed out at maybe 7. Because it just pulls way. I mean, that's a strong little setup.
It is, man. And that's totally one of the things people don't think of. And like, I put that in the video for how to hang a light, is like learn how much your tent frame can hold, and then also consider the force of that suction adds weight to it. So don't max your tent out. If it holds, 100 pounds, don't put 98 pounds hanging on the freaking bars, because that exact thing will just cause it to collapse on you. So wow, that's Very good tip. And you mentioned a good solution for that. What was the solution that you would use in the future, or maybe you're using it now
Oh, I
with the
don't have
poles?
it now, but
Okay.
yeah, the CFM bars. So they're the tent poles that you connect, or I guess they connect to your tent poles to keep that middle baseline support. So you don't have to worry about the tent walls sucking in, it'll stop it. Another thing I want to do, honestly, is I want to take PVC and just slide it down those poles where they connect, because that's where I'm losing my structure. So if I just have a PVC pipe that goes down the center of that, then that might be structure enough to keep it from bowing in. Maybe.
It can't hurt. I think it would help because like the vertical force definitely. So it can take more like hanging force, but this is more of a sideways force. Um, but if you had those CFM bars like you mentioned in there, then that sideways force is less. Yeah, it'd probably work. I
Yeah.
think that'd be interesting. That's another thing that I love about your gardening style. I always explain it as fun because you have fun and you're not afraid to experiment. You're smart enough to ask what if. You're smart enough to find like my hypothesis is this, and then you just try it. And a perfect example of that for people that go back on your Facebook, you've done so many fun shapes, so many like fun training ideas, and like a few like the gosh, you had a name for it too. You would put them all up into a cluster at night and kind of like keep them up there and then let them lay back out. And then there were other times where you just did like ornate patterns. Can you maybe tell us what inspired you to try some of these things? Because it's not in Ed Rosenthal's book, you know.
So I like to say grow your heart out. My heart is creativity. My heart is art. I come at the world from a very different perspective. So everything is an opportunity to learn, everything is an opportunity to create. And you don't know until you try. And I think a lot of people at first were kind of off put by my style because I had great genetics and don't mess anything up, don't do that. These are, but I was honoring the plant and showing how creative and versatile and just having fun with it. I think what you're referring to as far as bunching up the plants in the morning and then letting them go at night. So in the morning, I'll take my first little veg leaves and I will bind them up. So that way the under canopy has a chance to really get a jump start without having to pull any leaves or slow the growth down. So it's just a way of low stress training where I hold those leaves up so the little itty bitty ones underneath still have a chance to jump out. And then when they're a little bigger, they just go.
And have you seen plants, like how have you seen plants reacting to this stress? Because a lot of us will talk about, and you just mentioned it, like low stress training where we're just kind of more of bending or tying down versus some like high stress training where maybe we're cutting or we're bending the knuckle or just bending over the branch and then letting it come back. Do you have a preference, and have you tried kind of both techniques on the different plants?
Yes. So I love training. I love seeing what the plant can do. And I like seeing how I can kind of tweak what I'm doing to get the results that I'm looking for. I think in order to be a successful grower for myself, I need to have a goal in mind. So if my goal is yield, then I'm going to focus on training that's going to look more like producing more yield. So right now, actually, I have, since I'm testing out my F1s, I'm doing a side-by-side of two of them. One is low stress train, the other is high stress train. So that way I can visually see the entire time they're getting fed the same, everything is the same, they just are trained differently. Kind of to showcase what the difference is, what the outcome is going to be, and to pick and choose later which style my plant seems to like best.
Great research. I always love the A and the B experiment. Um, what a lot of people are confused sometimes about like recovery time for plants. And I mean, it all starts with the health of your plant. A healthier plant will recover faster than a sick plant. But some of this high stress training, like maybe topping or actually breaking the branches, do you notice like an extended lull compared to the low stress training next to it, or does it really kind of keep pace with maybe some of the low stress training?
So in my tent is a really great example of that. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on is understanding when you're doing high stress training, you have to allow the plant time to heal itself. It's going to focus on trying to mend whatever it is that you did, and it's not going to keep growing. So it's going to look smaller and it's going to have a different structure than something that was low stress trained. So as long as you add an extra week onto your veg time, you're fine. I try to think of it as how many more weeks am I willing to go when it comes to my training, um,
Hmm.
and I kind of stop it there. Sometimes I just play with it and figure out I'll stop when I stop.
Right, the monster plant. But
Right.
that is, you mentioned it can slow down a little bit, and that is one way that I've actually used to delay my veg until the flower tent was ready. Is, I've got like 60 days until one is empty and then the other can go in there. And when you've got really vigorous plants and veg, low light is a technique that I've used, but training, you can really get in there and do some hardcore training. Like you said, slows it down just enough to where it buys you that extra time. And then when you do get that like totally trained, totally like perfect, just like plant into flower, your yields will thank you for it. So that is another good method too, doing that high stress training. Um, have you come across any like high stress training incidents where maybe the plant didn't recover, or, like the branch just never came back? You've used tape or whatever. Has there been anything that's been too much for a plant?
I have definitely ran them down to where they didn't really grow too much. Um, I started calling them mini weed because I didn't understand. I thought maybe I had like hop latent viroid or something that was causing my plants to stunt because they were just beautiful, but just miniature. And a lot of
Right.
that was because I was stressing them out and I wasn't giving them any time to recover. And I was expecting the same kind of outcome as if I were to just let them go.
Right. Okay. So that no, that totally makes sense. You're like, we're 2 months into this and it's this big. Not
You're
that
right.
big, but
Um, I guess another time, you kind of have to be careful with some of the breaks. I have had like some stem rot issues where some of my
okay.
breaks weren't clean. So you introduce all kinds of pathogens and everything on some of those big wounds. So making sure that it's got enough of a clean environment and time and space to heal that over. Um, I had to learn to be a little more patient with that.
Patience. This plant teaches you patience for sure. At least it's taught me patience. So yeah, that is. I mean, you do sometimes when you crack, the knuckle, it'll actually split the sides of the stem, and you have the open wound, so it can be susceptible. Um, I've taped them. I'm just thinking myself. I'm like taping them up. Sometimes can create, the wrong environment or the right environment for the bacteria to stay. But there have been a few instances where it had to get taped or it wasn't really gonna stay. You'd be amazed, like if this pen was the stem and you had like this much of the cap still hanging on of that outer layer, you can almost get it to go back if you tape it and you have enough time. So
Mhm.
pretty impressive.
I think that leads me to one of the things that I've wanted to do for a while since I've been playing with the training techniques. Plant count was another really big um, obstacle of mine back then. And I started getting into grafting. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to have a mother plant that had some of my favorite cultivars all grafted onto the same mother. So I just had one mother instead of a bunch of mothers. I still am working on that. I'm trying to figure out which ones I want to craft. I haven't picked them out yet, but I think that's a goal of mine. I want to see what I can do with it. It sounds fun.
That- Try it, definitely. Again, try it. It will be fun. It's very common in the fruit tree world. That's where I learned how to do it. That's where I've done the majority of it. Never been successful with cannabis, but I've never really tried too hard. But I think it would be awesome if that could be done. Because who wouldn't love it? That opens up all kinds of questions of like, what would the phenotypic expressions be of all the different ones? Is it taking it? Is it getting directions from the rootstock, or is it individual? So many fun Pandora boxes. So okay, so
Yeah.
you want to mess around with grafting. Have you heard of or ever tried tissue culture? Is that anything that you would get into?
So I am interested in tissue culture. That's been kind of a buzzword here recently. So I'm listening to it. I think there's a lot of I love science. I absolutely love science. So anything that I can jump in and um, feel like I'm experimenting and learning and really progressing this plant, then I'm all for it.
We were talking a little bit earlier before we came on air. You know, we're speaking of just like science and data is what makes me think of this. But we've both had the opportunity to work at larger licensed facilities. So that's definitely different than the home grow environment, different tools, different procedures. But what are maybe some of the things from that experience that you learned about the plant as far as like what it can take or how it likes to be treated? Was there anything that you noticed in that experience that translates over to home?
I think the very first thing that I picked up on was, oh my God, they can take a lot before they actually die.
Yes,
The
this
whole
is so
time I
true.
was growing, I was throwing stuff away and culling plants thinking that they were toast. I would have been able to save quite a few had I jumped into that arena first and seen, no, they can really, really take it. Now you're going to lose quality, of course, but you can keep it around if it's the last one you know what I mean? So
Save it, yeah. What were some of the differences? Like feeding is usually one thing that's different. I worked in the fertigation room for a while as well, and that's so glad I don't have like that lingering chemical smell in my nose every day now. But what was the protocol there? Well, knowing
mm,
that everybody has to sign an NDA and you can't give away specific types of things, but just in general, what kind of things were you doing there as far as like feeding goes?
so what do you mean? You mean like as far as some of the nutrients or like the style?
Probably both actually. Like the style. Was it like a dripper fed, or were you guys watering with wands? Was it the
So
big like IBC tanks?
originally, it was flood drain. They were all
Okay.
flood drain tables. And then we transitioned to a drip facility. So it was all high fertigation at that point. So we had switched everything over from just using the basic salts and cocoa to where we were actually using the drip line system, but implementing organic inputs. So we were adding, I got a hold of my buddy Jared with New Millennium, and he helped gear and troubleshoot a few things because I really was interested in blending the two. Um,
Mhm.
I think that's something that was a big misconception I think that I had with growing in a commercial facility. The goals are very different than a home grower would be or a medical grower. So understanding that the goal is different means that what you're doing there looks different. I try not to judge anything as right or wrong. I look at it as it's all based on what is your end goal. Because there are so many ways to grow this plant. I can't say one is right or wrong.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And the flood and drain, so they were on tables originally, and then flood and drain tables, for people who don't watch, it's almost kind of like a bottom feeding. You put water in for a certain amount of time, plants get their opportunity to soak it up, and then you drain it and it's gone. Repeat later. But then you went to the drip tape, the drippers. I guess to start, were they like round drippers around the stalk of the plants, or was it just a straight line dripper that went down the beds? I'm assuming they were in beds, or were they in separate pots still?
They were in separate pots. So we had drip lines that staked into each one of the pots down the line. So that was a whole ordeal trying to get all of those installed. And then I had the big giant vat tanks that I was in charge of. Um, so I was the one that was in charge of feeding every single plant in that facility. So that was an honor. I was really excited. I was the first woman to be
Yeah.
the operations manager at that company. Um, so
Congratulations.
it was a lot of fun. I started calling myself Tank Girl because they're the big ibex tank.
Yes. Love that movie. Lori Petty.
Yeah,
Holler.
yeah.
Yeah, thank girl. Um, Man, there's there's something about being in the fertigation room like that and mixing all the nutrients. If you have a bad day, you could fry $1 million worth of plants. No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
Get your mix right.
Yeah, or flooding. That's like everybody gets
Flood the
christened.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody. I flooded the room a few times. Fortunately, it's a big ass room and it has drains on either side. So the worst of it was just like mopping it all or pushing it into there. It was a
Squeezing.
proper facility. Yeah, yeah. Just concrete floors all right into the drain. Now that drain probably went into a local freaking tributary, but that's another story. But I mean, that is kind of the story of commercial. Like you said, everything is done on scale. It's done differently at home because there is a different purpose for it. And that's why I love and I celebrate home growing so much, because you just can't give it the same attention to detail and love that you do at home. And the level of experimentation is fun. But that was one thing I enjoyed about working at the commercial facilities, is you get to play with other people's plants. You get to do things that you're like, I'd never do that to my plant, and then you get to see the result. So that's an interesting thing as well. All right, so I'm going to get ready to do another giveaway, and we've been talking about the gardens. I don't know if are you able to show the garden today?
Yes, I can.
You're set up? Cool. All right. Well, as we transition over to that, we'll do another seed giveaway here for you guys. And I'm going back to the Netherlands, Amsterdam, this year for 420 again. Actually, it's more for King's Day. King's Day is the 27th. But that means in between now and then, there will be 4 more of the Best Grow shows. We're going to have more of the Organics Q&A with Tad. That's every Tuesday at 2. But the Best Grow show is every other week, which means we've got 4 of them in between now and when I go to the Netherlands. And I just happen to have 4 packs left of the random grabs. So what we're going to do for this drawing is the winner will get to choose their choice of one of these 4 packs. The first one we have is Exclusive Genetics EGSD. That's the Albany Sour times the Sour Diesel BX4. 10 pack of regular photos. That's the Exclusive Genetics. You could choose this one, or you could choose the Wicked Genetics. Wicked Genetics got a cool sticker there. This is the Moscato. So Sour Moon times Chem 91. Maybe y'all can read it here. There we go. It's the Moscato. It's that side right there. Boom. Okay, you can choose that one. We've also got Universal Elemental Genetics again. This was his prized blueberry crossed with my Hans Gruber. He found a rad Hans Gruber male. Put that to his blueberry. Or your last choice is, wow, Sticky Richie. Sticky Richie, he was on one of the breeder shows we did recently. This is the Soto Fountain. So Gush Mints times the Soto F2. Soto F2 is the root beer times Chem Dog Special Reserve. And then Gushmitz, you probably know Sticky Ricky. So, all right, the winner of this one will get to choose between those four. And let me get you guys a new word to type in there. And if you are in Canada, you can still win, but it's going to be a different prize. These prizes are for the US only. All right, let me put up the screen. That'd probably help you guys, huh? All right, so type Final Four into the chat if you want your choice to pick one of these 4 packs. And before we start the tour here, because I want to be able to blow up the screen, we'll just keep conversing. But you said this is the 5x5 now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have taught. We were talking about some of the Rasta Jeff genetics that you've run earlier. You mentioned the machine, and then the chocolate chip, or was it chocolate?
Oh no, Saka souffle.
I can't even pronounce it. my question though is because I've seen you growing, a lot of Rasta Jeff stuff for at least the past couple of years. What are maybe some of the other strains that you've run from him, and what were maybe the profiles or something that you liked about him, or one that you may recommend for tent growers? Because I know a lot of his stuff is just big and huge. So what have been some of your favorite Irie genetics to run over these past few years?
I think one that really piqued my interest was John Lemon. It was very unique. I thought it was going to be super lemony, but like a gas lemon, and it ended up being like lemon candy, which
Okay.
is a little different than some of the stuff that he puts out. It's very very citrusy, very gassy on the nose typically. So to have something softer and sweet like that was kind of fun. I liked it, and it ran beautiful outdoors. It was very versatile. So it's an indoor outdoor, handles stress great.
Good. And I know he really likes the sativa type effects. I think he even said, he's like, I want to lose my keys in my car while I'm driving.
Yeah, he wants a panic attack.
Yeah. So how have the effects been for you? Have they, a lot of them been, what we would, traditionally call sativa like, or
Yeah.
have you been able to find, okay. Because I know he does have a diverse profile, but those are the ones he gravitates to first.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever lost your keys in your car while you're driving? Hopefully not.
No. No, but
Okay.
I've lost my phone while I was on it.
Wow. As a person who wears glasses, I know how things like this can happen. So, yeah, they're on your head, Dumas. Awesome. Let's see. What did I grew the Lemon Jeffrey from him. Lemon Jeffrey, or no, Lemon Sunrise. Lemon Sunrise, which had the Lemon Jeffrey in it. But man, that thing was so big. It just like took over my tent in a good way. But it was very vigorous. But it did have a lemon profile to it, more of a like lemon heads candy than like a lemon wedge cleaner to it.
I think the other one was Morning Dew. Morning Dew, I think, was the very first strain that I ever ran from him.
Didn't you call it Morning Dew A and Morning Dew B?
Yes, because it was Morning Dewby. You remembered that?
I remember that. But that was the same time where you were doing a lot of the fun training stuff, and that stuff sticks in my head. Again, it's great to see people have fun and growing good plants. Yeah, I mean, that's simple as this. I like people having fun. So, all right, let's have some fun here and give away some beans. Though we've got, over 125 of you in chat. All right, so we're gonna roll for this, and then we'll see if you are listening in chat, and then we'll have you pick your pack, and then I'll write it down and I'll get it mailed out to you. So good luck, everybody. Let me go ahead and I will hit draw. Good luck. Let's see where it stops. I put the remote in the fridge and use a fudge pop to change channels once. Scotty Walker, that's awesome. Right on, Tie Sticks. All right, Tie Sticks. I definitely know where you are and how to get a hold of you. You know how to get a hold of me. So let's see if you're still listening and put you on the spot here. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Are we taking the East Coast Sour Diesel? Are we going for the Gushmint's time or Soda Fountain? Are we going for the Blueberry times the Hans Gruber? Or are we going for the Moscalato? Sticky Richie. All right. Ty says right there, Sticky Richie. I want that Sticky Richie. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Hide. Oh, fail. Fail. Anyways, Ty said there he is. Ty said he wants the Sticky Richie pack. So Sticky Richie, Soda Fountain, Gushmint's time the Soda Fountain, F2. That's coming out for you, Ty. My guy. All right, let's get rid of me. Let's get rid of this. We'll be doing the Son of a Bitch seed giveaway at the end of the show. But let's dive into the garden tour. Yay! I'm just going to blow you up and turn it over to you.
All right. So you can kind of see this one over here is my high stress. This one over here is the low stress.
Okay, so I'm noticing the one on the right is it's bushier and a little bit taller.
Let's see if we can go up a little higher with it.
Okay. Good spread. And you said that's a 5x5?
Yes, and I have completely filled this thing out. I am having a hard time with my camera.
Yeah. If you want to switch between the front and the rear view for the camera, if you go to that little sprocket setting, let's see here, the little sprocket setting at the bottom, click on that, and then you should be able to choose front or rear camera there, because that will definitely make life a lot easier. It's hard to like try to watch. Yeah, it's hard to do that. Oh, boom. That work?
Oh, now we're backwards. Oh, weird. Whoa, sorry. I am.
Whoa, man. You're tripping me out,
Whoa.
dude.
All right, so I am not good at the camera, that's for sure. Well, this little guy down here that looks super blurry, that is the Purple Caper chocolate chip cookies. So I'm excited about seeing what that one's going to run. And I've never gone full organic. So I'm growing in an earth box in full organic this time instead of the Synorganic, just to see what it's going to do.
Tell us about the setup. Was that so I see garden kit on the side. Was it something that came with soil? Is that like a bottom feeder, a bottom sip type?
It is like a sip system. So hang on, I'm having a
no worries.
time with my camera. New phone, who this? So so what I'm doing is I'm using all of Build-A-Soil basically in here. So I've got the Build-A-Soil 3.0. I also have Fox Farm Ocean Forest. I heavily amended this. So it should just be water only. I'm also doing the craft blend, top dress amendments. But instead of just top dressing, I've been digging it in and kind of burying it to see if that does something a little different. I don't know. We're just playing. We're playing.
Yeah, well, a lot of the feeder roots, will come in. So if you scratch in the dry amendments, when you amended it, did you use like individual like calcium, individual phosphorus, or was it like a kind of a all-in-one? Like I use a nutrient pack and that has everything I need. In the dry amendments, I just put the dry amendments on and then good. Did you go like individual nutrient routes, or did it come with a kind of a pack that had everything in there you just apply?
Individual. I tried to source some of my local friends' supplies as well. So like local vermicompost.
Okay.
There is a company out here called Worm Coupon, and they are so sweet and so awesome and have been incredible out here in this little bitty community we got. And they're constantly sending me worm poop uh, to try to see, okay, what do you think? Can you throw it all on your outdoor and see what you think? We're just testing and playing around with stuff. But great product. So that for sure gets amended into my beds.
Yeah, and how do you apply it? Like, how do you put it on? How often do you put it on? Does it take watering for no, dropped out there for a second. But because vermicompost is, again, it's very popular option for people using, but I don't think a lot of people have had like a ton of experience with it as far as just applying it and seeing the results. So how did you kind of apply it, and how often are you applying that to these plants?
So really it kind of depends. If I'm amending it in with my soil, then I usually will do that. I'll top dress with it occasionally, once or twice maybe throughout the grow cycle. Um, but I predominantly was making teas out of it and then watering everything with the teas after I had amended the earthworm castings and stuff in with my soil. So it's kind of a two-step process.
I like that. And for the teas, was it something? Did you like take the worm poop and put it in a stocking or a sock, and then kind of like you would make normal tea, or did you just dump it all into the water and add aeration? How did you go about that process?
I dumped it all into the water and I added aeration to it. And then I made sure to water completely with the tea that I had made. So I didn't strain anything out because I knew it was going to go right back in to my
Right.
soil too. Um,
Good point.
if it's something else like banana peels or something like that, if I'm trying to make a tea, I will remove those. I've learned that just makes a giant fruit fly mess in your tent.
Oh no, nobody likes those. Nobody
Yeah,
likes
it
the
doesn't
fruit
hurt
fly
the
mess.
plant, but it's annoying. Nobody wants fruit flies.
No, gosh, I've battled with them in the past too. And for the sip, so we've got the garden kit in the sip. The other containers, are they plastic or are they fabric pots?
Those are fabric pots. They're 5 gallons. And I've got my living soil mix in there too. Kind of hard to
Ooh,
see. I got my little
that's cool.
coyote. I've got some natural cover crop from outside. So since I re-amend, or not re-amend, I recycle my soil, you will get a lot of volunteers. So I never have trouble with a cover crop. I think, as a matter of fact, I've got some little babies. Yeah,
Yeah,
little bitty guys growing in there too. So it'll all get covered.
that's awesome. And let's see here. Andy's called it out here. He says, "Lovely aloe plant there," uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
and that's something. Now, is that something you just keep in there, or do you use that for cloning or any other plant-related activities?
Both, actually. I'm hoping to grow it out big enough to where I can start making some really good saponin teas.
What's happening?
What's happening?
Never get tired of that one. Okay, so saponin, well, basically, it's kind of it's gonna help make water wetter. It's kind of like a surfactant. That's the word I'm looking for. Surfactant. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for the garden tour. Those were looking great. And as you know, again, I'm just the way that they were sculpted out in a 5x5. Two of those are taking up the 5x5. And that's, again, that's something with training. With enough training, you can fill the space with very few plants.
I probably should have done less. These guys are not finished vegging, and I ran out of room. So
Oh, geez. Done that.
I'm glad
Yeah,
spring's around the corner.
we should toss them outside. Do
Uh-huh.
you when you're putting them outside? I've heard of this thing called like hardening off. Instead of just putting the plants from inside. Just put them outside in a hole day one, let them stay out there. What kind of approach do you have to getting plants from inside to outside? Is there any transition period for you, or is it just straight in a hole?
So in learning, you just do stuff.
Yeah.
So I have done it both ways now. I find that the plants tend to respond a lot better if you do harden them off, especially if you're trying to throw them out right when you're trying to flip them at the same time. That was what I was trying to do. And I ended up with a lot of stress issues because of that. So for me, I like to try to take field trips. I'll let the babies take field trips. We go outside for a little bit and then we come back in and we'll just increase that time over about a week until they're happy and they don't seem to be wilting or doing anything crazy. And then you sink them in the ground, they're good.
Awesome. That's a good approach to it. I like that field trip, and that gives people something to look for too. Is that too much sun exposure, they may start to wilt, look like they've just had too much for the day. So it's like, okay, kids, time to come back inside. But they get used to it eventually. Even my fair Washingtonian skin will get a tan if I'm in Hawaii long enough. So yeah, it works out. One other thing that I've seen commonly done with people putting plants out is they may put them out a little too early. Like let's say they put them out in March where it's still kind of almost like a 12-12 or like a 13-11 light schedule, and they'll start to transition into flower, and then as summer progresses, the days get longer and then it starts to re-veg. Is that something that you've ever experienced or seen, of just putting them out too early and then seeing that transition?
I did, but I found a way to use it to my advantage. So
Okay.
when I recognized that I put them out at the wrong time, they started to flip to flower. And I ended up getting 2 harvests in one season. So I let that run, and I used that one to be my receiver. And that one was the one that I got a batch of seeds off of, which are my F1s back here. And then I decided to re-veg it. I brought it inside and I re-vegged it. And then the second time I flowered it, I harvested everything and got to smoke and celebrate my first round of seeds at the same time.
That's freaking cool. I like that, how that worked out. Gee whiz. That makes me wonder if you've played around with autoflowers outdoors. Because you said I got 2 harvests that year, and that's usually I'm like, oh, autoflowers. Have you ever played with autoflowers?
I have some. I
Okay.
want to this year. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have some Ogreberry from 2020 Mendocino. And I think we've grown those indoors. So now I want to see what they do outside. And this will be my first attempt at direct sow autoflower outdoors. I hope I get the timing right.
I mean, you're not gonna go too wrong with autoflowers, other than like a last frost or torrential downpours when it comes to the fresh seedlings. But that is, even in Washington, even where I live, if the neighbors were cool, I probably could throw some autos out early and get them to finish by the time all the rains hit here on the west side. But yeah, you said 2 harvests. I'm like, because that's usually that's a supplemental. Harvest. I almost said income. Supplemental harvest for a lot of people is throwing the autos out early and then getting the others to mature. Have you ever done or is this what you did, where you cut the top off of the plants and then let the bottom regrow, and then that's
Yep.
where you got the seeds from? Okay, cool.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
And you said you did see true males out there too. So it pollinated with a true male. It wasn't like a female that was, because sometimes the rhodolization, if you let a plant, that's the fancy word, if you let a plant go way past its prime, it will, in like a last ditch effort, be like, banana. And then, yeah, banana. And then it will like self-pollinate. But no, okay, you had the true males out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first experience with a male flower too, and that was so pretty. It really was pretty. I was impressed.
It is. Now, did you notice any kind of like resin on it? Not most of them don't really have resin, but some you find, some like resin, some glandular trichome stalks, but also like a stem rub. Was there a good smell coming off of the
Yeah.
male? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, and I didn't have any of the females that took, so I didn't have a way to gauge what the machine was gonna be like as far as smoking. So
Right.
I just went off of the stem rub, and it's you can learn a lot from the stem rubs. You can discern which plants are which if you mix them up and forget to label them by a stem rub.
Yeah, this is true. The Westport grape juice is distinct, even in the
Yeah.
cloning phase. I'm like, rub the leaf. Like, oh wow, okay, yep.
Yeah, there are some you can pick out of a crowd immediately.
And that's the fun of growing a ton of different plants, and that I think helps like us as like a home breeder or a home selections going through a bunch of plants. Ideally, and then you saw in the commercial facility, it'd be great if you could run 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 of the plants and narrow in on those winners, but we can't do that in a tent, in a garage with the medical or recreational abilities that we have. So we have to rely a lot upon our experience of what we've smoked in the past, and for you, what you've seen growing in the past and how things have grown. So it's absolutely possible, the more experience you have to do these types of selections, in my opinion. What are you looking for in the offspring? Are you going to know it when you see it, or is there a specific, like you mentioned plum earlier, but is there something specific you really hope to find, and then maybe kind of try to back cross and lock that in down the road?
So I think having a plum flavor profile really was what kept me going and
Okay.
wanting to pick this particular plant, um, as opposed to some of the others. I have yet to have any kind of plum terps come across my lap. So I'm excited to try something a little bit different, and see how the effects work for me. I think really what I'm doing is I'm trying to breed with intention. And my intention is I'm constantly looking for my unicorn strain. I have yet to find it. I will find it one day, or I will create it one day.
Yeah.
But I'm finding, I'm trying to find something that helps me manage my PTSD symptoms. So it's very medical. My whole reason for all of this is to tailor the medicine to me specifically, but I'm also a really tough cookie. So if it works really good for me, then there's a chance that it'll work really good for other people because my tolerance and my levels are pretty high. So I like to kind of use me as a little bit of a gauge. Um, but that's what led me into this breeding journey, is trying to find a medicine that works really, really well for me. I've come close, but I think the only way I'm going to find it is if I make it.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's my mission as well. Is I want to find something that works for me, works for my body, for my needs. But like you, I know that if I find it for me, it will help other people. Like
Yeah.
everybody's body's different. Everybody reacts to cannabis different. But if I can find something, it's going to help other people too. So that's a great goal to have, and fun because you're the best judge of it. You know how it affects you. Have you put now one of the interesting things too when I'm looking through strains or I'm looking at strains is I'll try different harvest dates or different harvest windows. We hear a lot of times, about like trichomes. Oh, if it's clear, then it's going to be more a sativa, like a heady high. If it's milky, it'll be the combo. If it's amber, it'll be sedative. Um, but I do find different effects sometimes when I harvest, like say maybe 2 or 3 weeks difference. A lot of times it's a very similar thing because plants will continue to ripen as they hang dry. But have you ever played with that window of like harvesting just a little bit before you think it's ready, and then harvesting a little bit after you knew it was ready? And did you get
Yes,
different results?
yes, very much so. So one of those I even have on my Instagram, where I did that very thing just so I could see, and I scoped it with a microscope and had all of those images up there too as a reference. But it would be the prom night strain that I was running consecutively over and over and over and really trying to get to know it. So in part of getting to know it, I wanted to know what the effects were at different harvest times and to see if maybe I was misjudging and thinking, oh, I gotta definitely harvest at this time and finding out the magic's a little bit later or a little bit sooner. I even ran that weeks and weeks past when I thought it was done. And that ended up being some of the most unique blackberry liqueur terps that I think I've come across. It was very unique and it very much was like a berry liqueur flavor. So that was fun. It was fun to see that if you hold on, something different's gonna happen, um, or if you go ahead and chop it, see what you can get away with. Sometimes you just got to turn it to get your medicine as fast as you can. It just happens.
Yeah.
So maybe it's important to know, okay, well, this is my window where I know I'm still going to get okay medicine if I harvest here.
Yeah, and that's, gosh, again, I love the experimenting. I love the A and B. I like these type of experiments, and sometimes that's what I'll recommend to people, even just on like an individual plant. So you don't necessarily have to grow 3 plants to get this data for yourself. Just you think it's going to be ready in maybe 5-6 days, cut a branch off. Let it go for a while, and then take some when it's more later. You mentioned though, and this is something that comes up with a lot of people, is I need my meds. I need something. It's I was only able to grow X amount this time. I had one that turned out to be a male. I was short on my meds, so as soon as I harvested, I'm thinking about getting into it. Have there been any like kind of quick drying techniques, or curing takes time, but you can speed up drying on occasion, especially for just like a branch or little buds. Has there been anything that you've used that didn't produce like a gnarly hay taste to it?
That did not or that did, because I've done it all now.
Well, maybe what are some of the things that gave you the hay taste? I've tried the microwave. That's hay city.
Microwave. That's not a good one. So is an
No.
oven. Oven's not a good one either.
Okay.
That didn't work out so well. um, that was more of like a gross partial decarb. No, no,
Yeah.
no good. No good. Um, the microwave, that's so funny. Uh, yeah, trying to find ways to just speed that up. Breaking it down into really small sections to let that dry out separately. But I think what really gave me the hay flavor is jarring it up too soon.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's still a little bit too wet. I just leaked over there because I was trimming the other day, or I forgot what I was doing, and a little piece came off, and I'm like, oh, I'll just, oh, well, wrong. Sorry, blow you up there. There we go. It was just like a little piece. I'm like, oh, I'll set this by the side, and then I'll sample it later. But no, dude, that thing is probably not gonna smell or taste too good. I don't know. Maybe I smoke it live on the air. Let's find out.
Maybe we get
Let's
wild.
find out.
Maybe.
I know. Oh, I've still got something going in there, which means I need to finish it before we can conduct our experiment here. So I'll finish this. Did I ask you already what you were smoking on today?
Oh,
I think I
I
did.
have a blend of Ogreberry and Prom Night. I like to kind of mix and match my medicines. It's not always a one-stop shop.
Yeah, my wife likes to do that too. She mixes everything up. Ooh,
Let's
that's
see. This is
lovely.
my Prom Night.
Nice, very nice. A nice chunky
Yeah,
bud there. Prom
it
night.
turned
What
out
what
really
sort
nice.
of what sort of like profile? What sort of nose? What sort of taste does prom night have?
That one is the one that's the berry liqueur. It's really
Oh,
unusual. It's not that floral and it's not that soapy, even though it's got a lot of the lanolin in it. Um, it comes off, it's almost like a Concord grape, like a
I
wild
know that.
gamey grape, not a sweet berry.
Yep.
Um,
Like mature wine
yeah,
grapes,
yes,
table
very
grapes,
much.
not a
Yeah.
candy grape. Okay. Yes, I totally get that. Awesome. Um, what was I smoking? I can't remember. Take another toke. See if like the ash toke will tell me. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Do tell.
Yep. Woo! Ash toke. What's up, Ash? Right? That went well.
She's a little dry.
Yeah. Good television. Good streaming here. All right. My goodness. I haven't even got to the gnarly one, the one that I'm afraid to smoke here, but I said I'll do it on TV, so we'll do it. All right. Let me load this. Do I load chat? Do I load like all the leafy bits in too, or do I just load the little bud part in? Like, I don't know. Shayna, what do you think? What should I do here?
Okay. If to be kind, I would say maybe rip the tips of the leaves off.
Nice. I appreciate it. You being kind on me. Dave says trim it. Gurmo says do it, leaf. Ricky Bobby. Leave it to the guy named
All
Ricky
or
Bobby. All
nothing.
or nothing. Yep. All right. Stem and all. Oh my gosh. Sugar goes in. Thank you, Grego. Oh, wait. You said trim it. Yes. Trim it. Thank you. Sir Hunsalot, trim it. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, really, this is kind of what we're talking about here is floor bud. We'll do it. Let's do it. Sorry, Scotty. Not going there. I'll follow Mo's advice and I'll spark it up. J5 says eat it. No. Dr. Levy, what's new? He says giveaway.
Give it
He's
away.
always at giveaway. All right. Let's Dr. Levy, this one's on you. We'll do a giveaway if you can guess my face. Will I keep a straight face or will I gag face when I hit this? Oh, wrong one. Oh, sorry. So Dr. Levy, it is all up to you. No pressure. All the pressure in the world. You have the fate of another bean giveaway in your hands if you can correctly guess face or no face. And there's usually a 20-second delay, so we'll let him get in here. But I already see people giving their opinion of what's going to happen in chat. So don't chicken out, Doctor. Now's the time. You're on the spot, buddy. Oh, it says new comment. Scroll down. I still don't see his answer. I'm sorry, chat. I really want to give away some more seeds to you guys today. But Dr. Levy. Oh, Faith. That's all he says. He's got George Michael syndrome right now. I don't know what it is. All right, let's find out. Let's do this.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm not expecting the best here. I like Ty's comment here. Yeah, true. Actually, not bad, man. I still get a lot of like good orange off that. That's my Kool-Aid, man. Wow. I'm pleasantly surprised. Does that
You
mean
can
I
pick
don't
out
ever
your
have
floor
to trim
bud.
anymore? Yeah, I know. I just smoked floor bud with leaf and all. And this actually, I will confidently say this tastes better than 95% of rec weed you will buy. So my floor bud's better than your rec. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
These
All
are
right,
facts.
let's and just Can't deny them. I'll go talk to 10 people and they'll agree with me. They always seem to. All right. Well, we'll get back onto the topic. So for growing, you've got your project right now with the F1s, and you're going to be kind of putting some things outdoors. What is something that you're going to do differently this year than you did last season?
Ooh, no-till. I'm
Okay,
doing
explain.
no-till garden bed.
Is it a bed that you already have out there going? Is it a raised bed, or is it just in the ground?
It is a slightly raised bed, but it is in the ground. I've been composting in it for a little while, but I've learned a little bit more about soil biology and how to create better environments for all the little beneficials and microbes to kind of want to come and habitate your yard. So in doing so, no-till seems to be the preferred method. So I thought I'd give it a shot. I had a lot of compost that I threw out in late fall, so that way I had a good jump on my organic matter breaking down about now, springtime. So we're gonna see what happens with that. It'll be interesting to not till it up. I have really compact clay type soil, so I really try to re-amend it constantly. So this will be different. I'm going to do a lot of top layering and see how that works this season.
Okay, because you mentioned clay, and clay, it has a particular electrical conductivity to it, so it can bind up certain nutrients within the soil. Clay is also very hard. Water doesn't pass through it very easily, so a lot of times in the soil, it can make like a water table in there. So those are things that you do want to, work on. And you're building your soil, you're building above it. That's good. Have you ever done any like vegetable crops there? So another thing to help with like clay soil, sometimes you put some deep rooting plants and they just drill through that clay layer and then kind of help break things up, and then you can come back and plant it the next season. But do you do vegetable crops as well outdoors?
Yeah, we'll do we've done potatoes, we've done tomatoes, onions. I think we've got some blackberry volunteers in there this season. Looks like I got some little blackberry bushes starting. I grew an avocado.
Ooh,
Um,
those are
it's
those are water
not
intensive.
not in my not in my zone for sure. They don't like my zone, so I had to bring it in over the winter. But
Yeah.
full volunteers start out there, and that's kind of what we choose to grow, is whatever kind of wants to grow there. So it'll be fun this time. I don't think that I have too much of an idea about what kind of vegetables we're gonna do this spring, but um, I'm really more interested in how I can build it up for the cannabis plants.
Yeah. And again, some of that chop and drop, leaving it in the soil, just kind of people will grow. You're already doing cover crops inside, but just the cover crops, chop, drop, let it get back into the soil. Some other gardeners too, going back to Luna Whitcomb, who was on a few weeks ago, she has dedicated beds to growing the plants that she ferments and uses as nutrients for her cannabis plant. So that's also another way to get into it too. Sometimes, especially if you're growing more than you consume as a family, because gosh, it's easy to get a lot of veggies even just in like a 3 foot by 3 foot area. If you have a nice long bed, you can wind up with extra. So yes, pretty soon you may just be farming for nutrients too. I can see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to find out.
That's the fun part. And that's, again, the one of the themes too, is just fun. What is your happy time in the garden? Like, what is it when you walk in, and what is it that you see that just makes you just smile from the inside? Because we all have that, but what is that for you?
I think it's just a knowing that that's something that I created, um, and that we both are in symbiosis. I think that's something that really, I think that brings me joy.
Yeah, connections to the plants. I see, like Mo praying plants. That's
Hmm.
absolutely, I love that when I walk into the garden and see those. It's amazing. But Lucky Pat. Yeah, happy plants make me smile. It really does. It's amazing how you can be having a bad day, or I could be like having a bad day, and just opening the tent and seeing like that or something that just like that makes you happy. And that makes me happy. Andy, we pop beans. Yeah. Who else? And I'm sure you do this too, Shana. But you put a seed like in the soil after you've like maybe popped it, or maybe you direct sow. You mentioned that earlier. But who is looking for that little bump on top of the soil? Does anybody else like checking it every few hours, just like looking for
Yeah,
the little bump? You don't
every
even
few
need to
hours is
see.
accurate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you don't even need to see it above soil. It's just like you see that bump and you're just like automatically like, go get them. Like yeah, that's awesome. Space Cowboy, the relationship with the plant. Yeah, freshly scrogged, ready to flip. That's always a good time too. I typically get depressed in like the last 2 weeks before harvest because I've done everything that I already can. Like that's usually like the sad time. I'm just like, I'll lose interest in the last 2 weeks. It's like, but gotta stay on point. All right, I'll get ready to do the next giveaway because Doctor is back. Cannabis Creations created me, so let's create together and give away some beans. Let's see here. We'll do one more giveaway. And then we'll give some shout outs. And to Shana, everybody, there's been people asking in chat for the Instagram. I put the Instagram down in the show notes, so people should be able to click on that and find you and follow the plants there. But do you want to maybe just let people know what the Instagram is? And then also the YouTube. People are asking about YouTube. Are you on YouTube, or
Ooh.
what are the best places?
So the best place to get a hold of me or to see anything is definitely going to be on Instagram. I haven't been on YouTube for a long time, and everything on there is actually some of my very first grows, which is fun for me to go back and see how far I've come in a short amount of time, as far as my ability to try to make these plants as happy as they can be. Um, but my Instagram is shield underscore maidens underscore garden.
Awesome. Go there. And again, that should be down in the show notes. So you guys can click there. And this is a long one. I almost added the word garden in there. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be torturing people. They're going to get it wrong. I don't know what they're going to do. But for the last giveaway, Shield Maidens Guard, or Shield Maid. See, I did it there. Shield Maidens Rocks, as in like rocks. So go ahead and type that into chat. US. We've got the Summer Bitch gift package for you. And if you are in Canada, we've got the package from Let's Be Buds, Uncle Rick. But let me show you here one time. The Grade A Summer Bitch has blessed the show. It's been a regular sponsor for the past, 6 months. Giving away beans here. These are the purple meds. Regular pack in here. Mr. Magpie has recently grown these out. I know you can find his grow out of these up on his page. But UC Grade A also sent us these really freaking cool loops. A handy tool to have in your garden. You just pop it open. Oh, it goes the other way. Yeah, okay, so you put it like this. Then it's got your little microscopes. Ooh, hello, it's me. I'm upside down. and it's got some lights too on the bottom, so you can see what you're looking at. Also has a black light or UV light on here, so as you're looking at your lease, really helps you find some like bug poop, also helps you find mold. But that's what you're playing for right now by typing Shield Maiden Rocks into the chat. So yeah, that's what y'all are playing for right now. Close that up. Okay. So we're doing that. And Iron Maiden does rock too. That's, you know what? Shield Maiden's rocks. Iron Maiden does rock too. I stand corrected. No, I'm just joking. All right, so breeders. We've mentioned Rusted Jeff a few times. Irie Genetics. You also mentioned Purple Capers. Is there maybe some seeds that you've tried from a breeder that people may not be familiar with?
Yeah, prom night. Wally Peony. Wally Peony. It took me a little while to figure out how to say it, but it's Wally Peony seeds. Super great. He's the one that sent those to me, said, hey, can you test these out, see what you think? And I've had prom night for a long time.
That's awesome.
That's what this picture back here is.
Oh, let's see here. Let me blow that up there. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. And is that actually, that's up on your Instagram too, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me go there. I'll show that here real quick because that's freaking just gorgeous. Let's see. Okay, stop sharing, present. I'm doing things. I'm doing things. I'm doing things. Okay, here's the Instagram. That's the word I'm looking for. Gosh, I'm glad I blanked that word. So this is your Instagram page, and this. Okay, so this is the Wally Peony. Let's see. Or is this Galactic Grape?
Oh, that one's Galactic Grape. I forgot.
It's so beautiful. I was like, you may have more pictures like on here. I just saw the beautiful
the next
like
one
red.
Over. The next one over is prom, and the.
Oh wow. This is prom night. Okay, yep. Wally Peony seeds. There it is. Okay. Yeah, Wally Peony seeds. Awesome. And that, wow, good Lord. Okay. Now, how long did you veg that plant? Or how long was that plant vegging?
That one, I don't remember exactly. It's been a little while since I ran. I think that was the very first one that I tried from him.
That was a big one.
I want to say usually I'm around 8 week, 9 week veg.
Okay. And then these are all from seed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I'll go back and give people the code. Shield Maiden's Rocks. We're at 99. We'll get one more, and then we'll go ahead and do this giveaway. You know, something that I always like to ask people as well when they come on is for new growers, some things that maybe, and this could go either way, and sometimes there is no answer. But were there any misconceptions about how to grow that you've learned just aren't true throughout the course of your growing? Or is there a big mistake that you made that you could easily advise people away from? Just kind of looking for a tip maybe for newer growers that are excited, maybe on their second or third run. You've already dropped a gem of don't change a whole bunch of things at once. So is there anything else you can add to that? It's one of those tough questions too.
That is kind of hard. Yeah. I don't know that I can really
Okay, because it's easy. It's those are usually the things that just come out through like the course of conversation. And I've been in your seat too. Well, people will ask like the specific questions. Like, gosh, it's hard to think of a specific example, but if we talk for 20 more minutes, you'll hear at least five. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I literally had my own question turned on me by somebody because I do a segment called Just One Thing, where it really is an advice for new growers. And I was on uh, DGC with Scotty Real, and Scotty Real says, "So you do a segment called Just One Thing. Let me ask you, what's your Just One Thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, deer in
Yeah.
headlights." I'm like, it's so hard just to pick one. Um, but gosh, yeah, I'm trying to think of what I would say now that we already haven't covered. This episode, you said there's more than one right way to do it. So important for new growers to realize that. I usually say get good at one thing and then branch out because when you get good at one thing, you have to understand and you have to know the plant. And if you know the plant, regardless of what route you choose to go, you're going to be able to read the plant and know if you're kind of like on target or you're missing the target.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
All right, we'll go there. We're over 104 now, so Shield Maidens rocks. Let's draw. Good luck, everybody. We will get this going. And again, if you are the winner, just let me know in chat if you are in the US or if you are in Canada, and we'll get the right prize pack to you. Starhan 1020. Right on. Congratulations. I'll write this down. Oh, I forgot to write Ty down. Ty won. He was taking the sticky Richie. All right. Let me just write this all down because memory doesn't serve me the best. Starhan, congratulations. He typed something in there, but I don't I don't see what it is. Maybe it's oh no, maybe it's people are typing really fast. That's cool. Starhan, there we go. Maybe that's a little flag icon. I just don't know. I can't see it. But my
Oh, I think
Instagram
it's
is
a shocked face.
shocked face. Right on. You can I read gosh, they're not memes. Emojis. Yeah. That shows you how much gray hair I have right there. Still can't name the Kardashians. Who's the winner on that one? Me. Okay, Starhan, hit me up. My Instagram is down in the notes below. Congratulations on that. And thank you guys for playing along. We always love to do these types of things. Final words. I always like to turn it over to the guests. Just anything you want to shout out, maybe whether it's companies, some people, some grow techniques, Cheetos, Honest Kids, organic apple juice. What? Send me the check. No. Anything. Let me just turn the floor over to you.
Uh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to hang out with a good friend. Um, Also, I think some good advice, especially in the social media aspect of the world, of the cannabis world. Um, don't be afraid to let people see you try. I think that that's important. And a lot of people are willing to help.
I like that. Be willing to try and be willing to show it because that's how we all learn. There's only so many grows we get per year. There's only so many opportunities for us to learn. But if we share these things, we can learn twice as fast between the two of us and 3 times as fast with somebody else. And that's just, exponentially levels up. So good piece of advice. I try to do the same myself. First time I had bugs in literally over a decade. I got aphids recently. I put up a video and just kind of what I did, what it looks like, what to look for. And hopefully somebody will see that. And they'll be like, you know what? I've seen those little white specks on my leaves before. I didn't know what they were. Now you know. So yeah, sharing is caring. And I appreciate everybody hanging out in chat today too. You guys are always awesome and you guys are always helpful and always funny. So I appreciate that. Shayna, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Again, I enjoy your personality. I enjoy what you're doing in the garden, and I hope you and Adam enjoy some new genetics there. Hope
Yes,
you have some
thank
good
you.
time.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah, good time growing, guys. All right. I don't know. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
Party on?
Party on! Way to go! Oh, it's so awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. I will see you on Tuesday with Tad. Party on!
1, 2, Westport.